Hi, I'm Hub Arkus from Pro Football Weekly, here to talk a little fantasy football with you. And to do that, we welcome in our senior editor, Mike Wilkeny, who is also our fantasy expert and handicapping expert. We do the fantasy ticker every week. Look for a player at each position who might be, well, shooting up the charts and help you if you can pick them up in your league. Let's start at quarterback, Mike, and who might people be looking for now?
I think Brandon Weeden of the Cleveland Browns is an interesting proposition, particularly in bigger leagues. He's got a good matchup, and that's the reason why I like him. Washington is not very good versus the pass. Weeden and that entire offense has played better of late, so I just tend to think he's someone, if you're in need of a quarterback, particularly in like these two quarterback formats, he's someone you could start within reason.
I know, I got a hunch I know where you may be going at running back, but I won't steal your thunder here. Who do you like there?
David Wilson of the New York Giants is going to be someone that's going to be claimed in the vast majority of leagues. He's already owned in about 2/7 of leagues, which is, a good number, but he's going to be claimed in a lot of leagues. Now, the question with David Wilson is this: how much does he play in Week 15 at Atlanta? If Ahmad Bradshaw is banged up a little bit, maybe Wilson has a slightly bigger role. He's a guy that's been a little inconsistent this year too, so I don't know if this is a one and done sort of situation, but with running backs, particularly running backs like Wilson, with his speed, you can't afford to wait. You have to pick him up and kind of see what happens. So Wilson definitely is at the top of the list to be picked up this week.
Yeah, I liked Wilson early in the year, but he put the ball on the ground a couple times, and Tom Coughlin buried him in his doghouse. Got to be out now after last week. How about wide receiver?
Kenny Britt is available in slightly less than half of the leagues as we talk now, and I think he's someone that, is probably fallen off some radars, particularly in smaller leagues where you don't have to maybe wait for a guy to round into form. But Kenny Britt is an example of a guy who I think is playing his best right now. He had 143 yards against Indianapolis last week, a touchdown in the previous two games, and look, some leagues he's not going to be available, but he's available in more leagues than you might think. So it always pays to take a deep look at that waiver wire. He might be there.
Got a tight end for us this week, Mike?
Tony Scheffler is very interesting to me because the Lions really don't have a lot at wide receiver right now. They've been mixing and matching. They put Chris Durham in, who was off the practice squad, right into the starting lineup. Really, I think Tony Scheffler is the primary beneficiary of this approach because they're going two tight ends more often. Brandon Pettigrew is even a little bit banged up too, an ankle. Scheffler had 10 targets in Week 14, had a touchdown. I think he's someone where the opportunities are going to be there for him down the stretch.
I was on the sidelines for Dial Global Radio on the national broadcast that Sunday night game. He sprained that ankle, Pettigrew, on the first touchdown by Matt Stafford. Tried to come back a couple times. Didn't play in the second half, was really struggling with that ankle, so you should keep an eye. You may see more targets on Tony Scheffler this week. And how about a defense for us, Mike?
The Miami defense is a real sleeper this week. They play Jacksonville, they're at home. This is a Jacksonville offense that just has struggled all season. Injuries continue to be a factor, and I think Miami is a defense that's a very viable plug-and-play option in Week 15.
And you don't mean a sleeper because of the teams and people Jacksonville's offense has put to sleep this season. That'll do it for the Fantasy Ticker this week. For all the best in fantasy football information, maybe you want some handicapping notes or just anything you need to enjoy pro football, stay with ProFootballWeekly.com.